Hello. Today, we are doing something different for the blood bag today. Because today, we're doing a video game. I know. Riveting. Because today, we're looking at Sea of Thieves. This game came out back first in, I believe, 2018. I'll fact check it when I put the date of release for the game in the title, but I believe it was 2018 when it properly released. So, which also makes this the first non-modern thing that didn't come out modernly for this. But let's begin. Now, let's start with the pros of this game. One being the pirate genre of video games is a very not great genre. Very rarely will you get a good pirate game, and overall this game, even though I'm going to kind of rip into it a little bit, this game is good. And this is definitely a good example of a good pirate game. Again, very rarely do you get stuff like that. But now let's go into the first pros. First off, the game is pretty. And it has a nice style, and it's a very pretty looking game. Now, I'm not going to say it's like as pretty as something like Subnautica or what's another game I can draw that's really pretty looking? Slime Rancher, that game's pretty looking. Or stuff that it's not as pretty as those games, but it has its beautiful moments of just nice things to look at. Another pro is that it's definitely a game that is very much fun to play with your friends. Like, I have a majority good time when I play with my friends on this game. So, give or take if they're dicks or not. But now, another thing is that it's very much, there's a decent amount to do, but after you've done stuff like that over and over again, you have to kind of wait for new content, and it gets a little boring after you've done it so many times. Like, you raid the same forts over and over again, you do the same quests over and over again. It gets a little boring while you're waiting for new content to come to the game. But that's just with all games that get developed over time, like Fortnite, Minecraft, etc. I'm not going to count that as a negative to the game. That's just with all video games that get developed as they go on. Now, one criticism I will get off to right off the bat is the combat with the swords, at least for me. I don't know if this is for everyone, but for me at least, it feels with the swords, it feels janky, if that's the right word. It's not the best sword combat. It's not bad, but it's a little jagged and janky. But vice versa, the gun combat is actually pretty good. Like, the gun combat is genuinely pretty good. Same thing with the ship-to-ship cannon combat. That's also pretty good. It's just something about that sword. I think it might be the hit detection with the swords is a little weird. Again, this could just be me, but the sword combat's a little weird. Now, this game has lore, but I'm not the best of it, so I'm not really going to bring it up in this review at all. So if you're here for the lore, yeah, get the fuck out of here, because I'm not bringing it up because I don't know it. even if there is, hell, I could be shitting out my ass with that. But now let's go into some more things about the game. One being that for a good majority of the game, it's fun. But there are bits and pieces that can be a little dull or boring. Like, again, but dull and boring moments kind of come in few and far between. I think the main thing that makes those moments not as boring is if you have good and funny friends to play with. So I don't really know if I should hold that as a critique or not, but just something to keep in mind. Another aspect about the game that I think is pretty cool is that, you can get is that shit. What am I trying to make my point across with? Is that there's a unique amount of enemies. I'm not gonna say it's like Resident Evil amounts where those games have, well, at least the older Resident Evil games have a shit ton of enemies you can fight. But this game, it has a good enough amount. It has the weird sea creatures, the sirens, the ghosts, the skeletons, the kraken, megalodon, stuff like that. And they all have pretty good designs, especially the megalodon and the kraken. Those two have great designs. The kraken has like its tentacles have little mouths on them, and it looks like the Demogorgon. And I'm a massive fan of Stranger Things. You'll be getting reviews on seasons 1 through 3 at some point, and I'll do season 4 after I get the time to watch it all. But yeah, but another thing that I guess could be a critique is that the game feels a bit, how can I say this, unforgiving at some points. To bring an example up, during a pirate's life, there are some parkour bits that this could just be from me sucking ass at parkour, but it felt a little weird and janky with the jumping. Like, just the parkour in general is not the best, and it feels a little unfair because the parkouring and just jumping in general is not that great. Coming from someone who's played a lot of 3D platformers from the first-person perspective and third-person perspective, yeah, it's definitely not the best. Another thing about the game that, I guess, and I can go back to positives here, is that the game, if, like, once you get into, like, player v player combat, PvP, that's legitimately really fun. To bring up an example here, is when me and my friends were playing, and we found another guy, and we backstabbed them, and we stole all their shit, and it was a bit of a firefight. I mean, we won before they came back and killed us all, but that's besides the point. I'm just saying, when it gets to PvP, it's pretty fun. But when it's just you sailing in the middle of the ocean and you don't have a funny friend to play with, it's pretty fucking boring. So, that's the main critique, is that at some points it's very boring. Mainly just where you're sailing around. Occasionally you'll get a pop-in from the Kraken or Megalodon, but again, stuff like that's kind of few and far between, so the sailing bits are really boring if you don't have that funny friend. Which, I have a funny friend, so it's not as boring, but I can definitely see where people are coming from with stuff, with people saying it's boring. I can kind of see where people are coming from with that. But besides the sailing parts being a bit boring, the janky sword combat, and the pretty not great parkour, and, like, overall, the game is good, but definitely flawed. And also, yeah, the game also definitely has a problem of running out of content. I mean, granted, if you're new to the game, you're not going to run out of content. But if you're someone who plays it, like, every single fucking day, like I have been the past week, yeah, you run out of content fast. So that's a massive problem as well. But again, I'm not going to hold that as a proper critique, because that's just the thing with all games, like I said. They get developed over time. That's just the thing with all games. So I'm not going to hold that as a critique. I thought it'd be a note I'd like to bring. But putting Sea of Thieves in the old blood bag here, I'm going to give it a solid 80%. It's good. But it's not perfect. It's definitely flawed. So I think 80% is fair. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the first blood bag review for a video game. I definitely do want to review more games as well, like the aforementioned Resident Evil series earlier in the video. I want to do reviews for that. And like I said, you'll be getting a Stranger Things seasons 1, 2, and 3 reviews soon. Season 4 I don't plan on reviewing until it's all out and I get the time to watch it. But you'll get the reviews for the first 3 seasons. Probably in July, either sometime in July and August, I'll do them. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this Blood Bag review. And leave a like if you did and subscribe if you enjoyed my content. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.